Okay, welcome everybody to the webinar today. And let me know that you can hear my voice, please, and that you can see the screens. And we'll get started. Just give me a type in that, hey, I can hear you. Okay, thank you, William. Really appreciate it. So I want to wish everybody a very, very happy Memorial Day, which, let's think about it for a second. It's a very somber holiday, and anybody out there that's been a service member or is a service member, on behalf of 10 Minute Trades, we want to thank you from the bottom of our hearts for your service, and we really appreciate it. Let's get started on our webinar. Today, we're going to talk about what I think are some of the most important issues when you want to become an appointment-based trader. Designing your own trades, the spike sheets, and just learning how to make sure that you can trade the best and safest setups that are available. So that's what we're going to talk about today. I want to welcome everybody. My name is Lee Goldstein. I am the trading director at 10 Minute Trades. We're going to go over all of the tools that we use for volatile markets. Please just remember it is possible to lose money trading futures, so trade carefully and you can become a very profitable news trader. Okay, so let's get started. We'll do a very quick recap of what we are and how we trade at 10 Minute Trades, and then we'll get into the meat and bones, meat and potatoes of what we're going to cover today. So our trading method is appointment-based trading. We trade futures and we use the Ninja Trader platform. We have a system. We have our JOBB News Trader software, and our News Trader software has built into it many different setups. So let me show you what I mean. A lot of times I just go right through the slides, but let me show you what I mean when I say we have many different setups. So this is the Ninja Trader platform, okay? And I think that the MNQ is going to have a test of the high as we're doing this webinar. So I'm going to take a long trade while I am waiting for the MNQ to burst to the high of the day. This green line there is the high of the day. Let's see if we can at least get part of the way to our trade. So one of our trade setups is the reverse continuation setup, and that's what I'm trading right here. All right, the reverse continue. Now, if I want to, I can move my orders around, which is a nice feature inside a Ninja Trader, and I can move my stop. I could make it a little bit bigger if I think that's appropriate. What we're going to do is we'll look and see if we get that test to the high. The markets are pretty bullish, but I was talking about in our software we have setups. So if you click the word strategy, when you install our software into Ninja Trader, it literally is built in now to the platform. And if you just click on the name of our software, you will see all of these different setups. When you click the trade type, we've got breakout trades, we've got range trades, reverse continuations, range trades with colored zones, one-click range, squeeze play, trap trade, market open, manual reverse breakouts, all sorts of setups. Also on the left, we've got the magnet trade. So when I say that our software has setups that are built in, that's what we mean. The setups are literally built into the software, okay? And it helps to make it easier to take your trades. So let me put my slides back on. And like I said, we have reversal continuation trades. We've got magnet trades, breakouts, trap trades. The trap trade is a specialized reversal trade. The magnet trade is a high of day, low of day trade, or you can set up your own custom trades. That's what we do at 10 Minute Trades. And we have all of these elements that make up our system. We've got the weekly market mover, which is our daily schedule. All right, we send our daily schedule to all our members and to anyone that wants it. Every week, every Sunday, we send out our daily schedule. It has the time that the event takes place that we're interested possibly in trading. It has the time that our trade room opens, if we have a trade room for that event, and the trigger, the actual report itself, the index that we're trading. Maybe we're trading the euro. Do we have a daily trade report? That's another element of our system. Is there a daily trade report for the particular trade room that we're trading? And then we have notes on our daily schedule. We have whether or not we're streaming on YouTube. Is it an educational trade room? Is it a trade that we might be watching? Maybe it's a trade that we used to trade that we're not that excited about. We're just going to watch it for a while. So there's all different information that's part of our weekly schedule. You can get our free weekly schedule by just going to www.10minutetrades.com. Opt in for the free video, how to find your own 10-minute trades, and we'll happily send you our weekly schedule. Now, the DMM, our daily trade reports, many of the events that we trade in our trade room have trade reports. They are information about the event that we might be trading. For instance, we traded natural gas this morning. We have a mini journal on some of our DMMs, our daily market mover reports. We also have a possible setup that we're going to use in the room. If it's a breakout trade, we talk about the brackets that we're going to set up. And there's other historical information about the report, about the news event in the DMM report. It has the instrument that we're trading, what we think the risk of that particular report might be, a forecast. So a lot of good information that helps us to get on top of the event that we're trading. And our DMMs might have multiple different reports for different news events that we're looking at in the course of one day's trading. So it's a multiple document report that we send to our members the day before the report takes place. That's the key. We send the daily trade report, the DMM, the day before. So anybody that's getting ready to trade it knows the way we're going to trade the day before the event. Some events are trade room events. There's no daily reports, but we discuss the setup in our trade room. We teach our members how to trade it. And we have many events that we just trade in our trade room when we get there. There are no reports because markets are volatile, and sometimes we will take discretionary trades. And then the other elements of the system, of course, would be our trade room. In my opinion, one of the most important elements of our whole system is the trade room. Everything flows from there. And then, of course, the News Trader software, JOBB software, that encompasses all of our setups and all the various ways we trade. You can be a discretionary trader with our software. You can trade news. You could trade events. You don't have to be a news trader to use our software. It is what we call an ATM. This is a sample of the weekly schedule. Once again, Daily Market Mover. One of our favorite Daily Market Mover reports is the FOMC statement. This has been, believe it or not, even though it's only showing 2 out of 6 winners, it's actually the lower setup, the ES trade, that is actually more successful than the NQ trade. That's been a great, what we call a trap trade, that we trade on the FOMC statement. And just for fun, I just happen to have, I think I have handy, a recent FOMC statement trade that we took. The last statement. Now, most people don't like trading this report because they think it's too risky. And one of the most important things about trading with us and understanding news trading is the idea is to have setups that you test that we design, and we try, of course, to come up with the most intelligent, safest reports, safest methods we can find to trade the various events. The FOMC is a trap trade. Now, if you notice, there's all these X's all over the charts. The X's below the orange arrow are orders to go long. If the market goes down, it's a trap trade. We're going to go in the market the opposite direction of the event. The orders above the market are orders to go short. The FOMC almost always reverses. What happened is the price burst up immediately. It was in our favor because it reversed and we were in a profit, and almost immediately it hit our target and we had a winning trade. Then in the trade room, we were also able to take advantage of what we thought would happen next, a test of this red line, which is a test of the low. And we have a way to enter very simply a reverse continuation setup. If you watch this middle chart, we entered using the ES, and we were able to move our stop to safety when the trade went in our favor. And you could see it's going to go down, 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 and test the low of the day as we kept making more and more money as the price moved in our direction. Those tools, those abilities to take advantage of market moves at the time of the news and after the time of the news are part of our software, and those are the things that we teach, some of the things that we teach in our trade room. The FOMC was a great trade. Over the course of the last couple of months, we've been making money on FOMC statements. Our news trader software, once again, has the magnet trade built in, reversal continuation, trap trades, all sorts of great setups. Our software is a custom strategy that installs into NinjaTrader. It can automate your trade entries, your targets and stops. It has trailing stops. It has the ability to move your stop in one swoop if you want to. For instance, you could say, well, software, if I hit my first target, move my stop to safety to break even, so if the trade reverses on me, I can protect some of my profit. So the software is what we call a super ATM. It's an automated trade manager. Many platforms have a language built in that allows you to tell the trade what to do if you're entered into the market. Our software makes it so you don't have to learn the language of each platform that you're using. So for instance, we support NinjaTrader. NinjaTrader does have a language built in so you can create an ATM, an automated trade management program, but our software overcomes that necessity to learn the language, and you can use our software instead and just put numbers into the software, and it makes it a lot easier than programming a language. And it gives us trailing stops, moving your stop in one shot, moving your targets, putting the targets on the charts. All of those trade management features can be part of our software. They can be automated, semi-automated, or totally discretionary, depending on how you want to trade. So our method of trading is time-based, and it's simple and easy to learn. You can schedule your trades up to a month in advance. We like to do things on a weekly basis, and we call it appointment-based trading, ABT. Why do we like this type of trading? Because we hate being in the market all day. With this type of trading, remember, all you have to do is look at the weekly schedule, and you know you're not sitting in front of your computer all day long. But for instance, today I knew I was going to be in the trade room at 8 a.m. for unemployment, 9:15 for flash manufacturing and existing homes, and then back at 10 o'clock for natural gas, and then I'm done. Now, if I want to watch the market and do some discretionary trading, of course I can do that. I don't want to be in the market very much, as little as possible. The less you trade, the more you make because you don't want to give the market a lot of opportunity to take your money. Most trading can be dull. You don't want to sit around for hours. You lose your concentration. You can easily miss a setup because you're just sitting there waiting for too long. What we do gets triggered by news events. What triggers an appointment-based trade? And one of the most important tools that you should become familiar with are the various reasons why a trade gets triggered, and then how do you find those triggers? High impact economic reports, trigger number one. GDP, jobs reports, ADP report, oil reports, gas storage reports. Those are all high impact economic reports. Earnings reports, they will trigger instruments, the NQ, the YM, to move when the earnings are released. That's another set of triggers. And then we have market opens and closes. The way that we find these triggers is by learning to navigate the various calendars that are available to you and to me for free. ForexFactory.com. Every week you go into ForexFactory.com and you can go through their list of events and you can search for the most important ones. They show you what they think are the most important events by making them red. Orange for the second most important, and then yellow for less important events. Now, hang on a second. Let me just get my slides back here. So that is very important to understand. ForexFactory.com is one of our most important calendars that we use. So for instance, Canada CPI, they see that as important. President Trump speaks, so we wind up in the trade room for lots of tweets and things like that also. No big, it's important to understand that it may not always just be an event. It might be somebody speaking, like Barkin for the Fed or Powell for the Fed. So ForexFactory.com, one of our favorite calendars. Investing.com, calendar number 2. Okay, they have a system where instead of using color, they use a star methodology. 3 stars is impactful, 2 stars medium, and 1 star less important. So what we do is we learn to study all of these calendars, and one more calendar is also Financial Juice, and we recommend the Pro version. Financial Juice, let me log into mine, allows you to look at and listen to the news as it comes out. And that's one of the best parts of their service. They list all the events on the left, but they also have a squawk box so that when we're trading the news, we can be listening to the news results in our headset. That allows us to listen to the news while we're trading. And that is absolutely fantastic, right? Because it lets us listen to the event and know what the news is while we're trading. What could be better than that? I can't think of anything better than that. Let me get back to my slides. Give me a second here. And then we'll get started to continue what we're doing. So we were talking about trigger categories, market opens and closes, big company earnings reports, high impact economic reports. Those are the triggers. There's hundreds of those triggers that you could find on the calendars. The key to the triggers is finding the best ones to trade, and then you've got to come up with your setups. Don't forget, all of these trades, all of these events can be traded in a prop account, okay? You can trade cash, you can trade prop. You just have to find the right companies that allow for this style of trading. So we're going to talk about how to trade volatility safely. by designing and testing your own trades. All right. The first and one of the most important tools that we're dealing with is market playback. So let's get into that. So look, our trade did not hit my target. Looks like maybe it hit target 1 and then it pulled back. So am I going to cry because the trade didn't work? Now look, there's a good rule that might be better. You want to really watch your trades because look what happened. I wasn't paying attention. It pulled back and then it really pulled up and went back up and it did test that high. If I was watching, I would have put another trade on using maybe our magnet trade setup, which is a trade setup that works as you get closer to these magnet levels, high of day, low of day that I'm pointing out here. We have an automated setup that can trade testing of a high of day or low of day, and it exits at the high of day. And that's an automated trade setup in our software. But today, what we're going to talk about is how do you take the regular trades and then test them so that you can have good outcomes because you're trading the best of the best trades. So why don't we use this morning's French flash manufacturing trade and see what we could have done to make that a viable setup. So on our weekly schedule, all right, our weekly schedule had a setup that we were showing 3:15 this morning, French flash manufacturing. So that was an event. It was taking place 3:15 in the morning. So the first thing you want to do is you want to download data. So it's already past 3:15 in the morning. So what I want to do, first thing I want to do is go to the calendar. Actually, before I even start downloading data, I want to go to the calendar and I want to go to that trade, okay, and make a note of the previous day, the months that that event took place. So I go to the calendar, 3:15 in the morning, French flash manufacturing, and I click on the file folder. Okay. Now look, right now I'm noticing Forex Factory is not showing me the data it usually shows. So I'm going to have to use a different calendar. 9 times out of 10, it will show me the previous dates. And for some reason this morning, it's not showing it. So I'll go to a different calendar because I need that data. So let's go over to investing.com. All right. I'll load that calendar, click on this week, and then I'm going to scroll down and I'm looking for Thursday at 3:15 in the morning, okay? French manufacturing, I'm going to click on the trade itself, the event itself, and now when I scroll down, I'm going to see the release dates. All right, we had April 23rd was a previous release date on this report. Now it's kind of funny. Normally I can click show more under here and it'll show me about 10 more previous reports. Today, for some reason, it's not working the way it normally does. So don't let it throw you. It will show you 9 times out of 10 previous release dates. So right now we do have April 23rd. So you make a note of that date, and I'm going to show you how you download data so that if you want to test previous trades, you can test them and come up with setups. But what we're going to do also is download today's data and see what happened on the trade so we could determine, was our setup a good setup, a safe setup for today's trade. So today's date obviously, is May 22nd. We are going to go to Tools, we're going to go to Historical Data, and we're going to get this screen. We're going to go get Market Replay Data. We're going to change the date to 5/22, and we're trading the euro. Today's contract is 6E, and it's in my platform because we've been trading it. 6E0625. That's the instrument that I choose to download data for. I click download, and now the data is there for that particular date. Now remember, we also had April 23rd. I can download the previous month, April 23rd, same contract, 6E, and I can download that data also should I want to test a previous trade month. For today, we're just going to use today's data. So now what I'm going to do is disconnect all my live connections. I happen to have a couple of prop connections, my cash connection, and I'm going to connect market playback, market replay, playback, continue. When I connect playback, I get like a little tape recorder controller. First thing I'm going to do is put my chart on the euro because that's the instrument we downloaded the data for. So I put my chart on 6E0625. Okay? Don't worry that the chart doesn't look normal yet. Remember, we have to set the chart so we're on the right date. And our date is today. So in these boxes on the control panel, on this little control panel, in this box, we're going to put today's date because that's the day we're checking, 5/22/2025 in both boxes, start and end. If you get an error, the start date must be beginning first. You just go to the other box, start on the right instead of starting on the left, put the dates in, 5/22/25 in both boxes. Now in the blank space, I'm going to right click, go to, it'll become enabled in a couple of seconds. And the time of the trade, remember, it was 3:15. That was the time of the event. So I'm going to start my software about 10 seconds before that. So I'm going to put in 3:14:50 a.m. All right? 3:14:50 a.m. Takes a second to calculate that time. If for some reason you don't see the price, click the F. And now it's as if we went back in time to 3:15 in the morning. I'm going to get rid of previous setups that I had before we got to this webinar. And now I'm going to create the setup using our DMM. And we're going to trade the setup and see what would have happened on this trade. So this was our setup, all right? Now, I was recommending that people trade the trap trade this morning. A trap trade is a specialized reversal trade. So I'm going to right-click the chart. I'm going to click Strategies, double-click Trap Trade, and now my setup, I'm going to activate the trade at 3:14:55. So the first thing I'm going to do is go down to activate and put in 3:14:55. My orders for this trade are going to go on the chart 5 seconds before the news is released. My stop is 25 ticks. So I'm going to type in the stop, 25. Position 1 means I have one contract for my first order, tier 1. Position 2 is also one contract for my second tier or my second order. So I've got position 1 is a 1, position 2 is a 1. Activate at 3:14:55. I've got a 25 tick stop. And now I want to choose the amount of ticks above and below the trade my orders are going to appear. Tier 1, I'm going to do 20 ticks, and Tier 2, I'm going to do 35 ticks. 20 and 35. Now I'm also going to label my trade Trap 6E, because when I label a trade, it's going to show up in the control panel. I'll show you, and I'm going to name it. So it's named Trap 6E, okay? And I choose the account that I'm trading. In this case, it's going to be the playback account. I apply it, I okay it, and now my trade shows up in the control panel, and it's also named Trap Trade 6E. I can turn the trade on by clicking the button, the box that says enabled. Now, I know that when I start this trade, Ninja, I have an issue with Ninja where sometimes I have to put the time of the trade in twice. So I have to enter the time of the trade. Remember, I'm going to start my software 10 seconds before the news is released, 3:14:50. Okay? I've got a trap trade, so I'm expecting a burst in price that's going to reverse. But I don't really know what's going to happen. But this is the way that I would test event after event after event to see the way it behaves so I can set up more events in the future. And let me show you exactly what I mean. So I'm going to press play on the control panel. Now, 3:14, I want to actually speed this up so we don't have to wait. 3:14:50, okay, is what I'm putting in. So we only have to wait 10 seconds. The market is now going to start moving as if it's that time in the morning. I can see here that my software is now putting the orders on the chart. I could see that there were orders taking place because I can see the ask and the buy, okay? Now, what happened on the trap trade, it didn't go far enough to put me in the trade. This would be a no trade. It would be a no fill because I was not filled. It didn't go through my orders. Let me make the orders smaller so you could see how you might change things to decide what the setup should be. If every month your setup was too small and you didn't get filled for 2 or 3 months in a row, you would think about changing your setup. Instead of being 20 on your first order, maybe you'd do 14, and maybe you'd do 24 on your second tier. So watch what happens when you make a change and you redo the trade. I'm going to go back to my control panel, and I'm going to go back in time again to the beginning of the event, 3:14:50, right? Before the news. I'm going to okay that, make sure that my trade is enabled, press play, and then in a few seconds, our orders are going to show up, and we've made our orders tighter. They're smaller now. So as soon as the orders show up, they're not going to be as far away. And look at that, we were still too small. So it's a very small move this morning. And now that brings into play the second most important tool, the ruler. When you do these playbacks, the trade candle is very often the first candle after 3:15. This is our trade candle. So what I want to do is wait for a full minute to pass so I can speed up the playback. Make sure that I'm through 1 full minute. And now I'm full. I get another candle so I can see the size of this particular candle. I can click on the ruler, choose ruler, and now I'm going to measure from the bottom because it went up to the top. and we have a 21 tick candle. So if our order is under 21 ticks, depending on exactly where it was at 3:15, remember, we're dealing with time. If your order went on the chart higher up on the candle, it will be less than 21 ticks. In this particular case, we know that that's the case because 21 ticks did not fill us. In other words, when we look at our setup was only 14 ticks. It only moved about 10 or 12 ticks on that burst. So let me show you how I know that. I'm going to put 10 ticks in for tier 1, and we'll do one more replay of this trade. Let me get rid of our ruler. Start this trade over by going again to 3:14 and 50. I'm going to go to 50 seconds again. Press play in a moment. Now this should actually fill us. And it did. You see we're short. The price burst up and it changed direction. We're in a trap trade. It's moving up and down. Right now it's in profit. If it keeps reversing, we can cancel the extra order. We could move our stop. The idea is we want it to reverse so that we can get a profit and move our stop into safety. Okay? If it keeps reversing, I can trail my stop down and get a profit. This is the procedure that you use to test trades. We use Market Replay to load the data in for a previous setup and test the setup on the DMM that we had originally. If for some reason that setup starts to fail, then we go back, we load the data the way that I just showed you, and we use our rulers to calculate the trade candle and how big it has been. Did it just go in one direction? Was it a whipsaw? We calculate all of those values and we notate them every single month. And we come up with what we call our spike sheet. Our spike sheet is a compilation of maybe 6 to 12 to 15 months of behavior from each various event that we trade. So let me show you a spike sheet, for instance. This morning we traded, like I said, we traded this particular flash report. Let me grab the spike sheet for us. French Flash Manufacturing. And we did create a spike sheet, and this is what the spike sheet looks like. Every month, we went back and we measured that candle after the news was released. Last month, it was only 15 ticks. The month before, it was only 10. But the month before, it was 35. The month before was only 10. 2 months before that, it was 30. So we have to come up with something that would be safe for all of those months. Excuse me. If one of those or two of those were 60 and 70, then it creates a big problem because it takes the trade out of a setup that might be safe. If most of your moves are just 10 and 20 ticks, then you can't have a 50 tick spike because it'll never get filled and then you'll never have a trade. So every now and then you might get an anomaly. You might have one trade where it moves 70 ticks. Today, on the German report, if you were not trading the breakout, it had a gigantic spike. The German report was at 330. So let me show you what happened on the German report. Now remember, we downloaded the data. We went to tools, we went to historical data, we went to get market replay, we put the date on today, we put our contract on today's euro contract, 6E0625, and we downloaded the data, okay? In order to download data, you have to make sure you're not connected to the playback server. You have to be disconnected. We've already downloaded the data, so I'm going to continue. There were two events that took place this morning, 3:15 for the French manufacturing, 3:30 for Germany. So we can now go to a different time. Go to 3:29 and 50 seconds, 10 seconds before the German data was released. Okay it. And now we can replay the market coming into 3:30. Watch what happens. We only have 10 seconds. Boom, it explodes down. Look at this move. This was a gigantic move out of Germany. Very, very fast. Let me put it in exact correct time. But first what I'll do is we now have our second candle. You take the ruler, press ruler, so that's the feature you're using. Click the top of the candle. We're going to the bottom of the candle. That was a 50-tick candle. If you're creating a trap trade, your second tier, your second order, plus your stop should be 15 to 20 ticks bigger than the candle spike, okay? So for instance, that's a 50-tick candle. You might have a 20-tick stop on top of that, so your safety would have been 70 ticks. It would have had to move more than 70 ticks to stop you out on the spike, all right? That was a pretty big move. And then to verify your testing, you can use your trap trade. So we had a setup this morning for the German report. And here's our setup. 33 ticks on the outer tier, 25 ticks on the stop. Let's see if it would have survived that very big spike. It might not have survived that spike. So we're going to modify our setup. 3:29:55 is our activation. That's when our orders are going to show up on the chart. Our first tier was 20. Our second tier was 33. Our stop was 25 ticks. Apply it, okay it. And now we're going to replay the event, enable the trade as if you're trading in real life at the exact moment. We're going to go back in time by putting our cursor in the blank area, right-clicking it to go to, and we're going to go to 3:29 and 50 seconds because this event takes place at 3:30. 3:29:50. I'm going to okay it. We're going to go back in time. I'm going to press play. Turn on our trap trade. Make sure it's on. There's our orders. Price is going to explode to the downside. There it goes. I thought it was faster. It wasn't all that fast. Let's see if the trap would have survived. It filled the second order. Now you'd be in the trade long 2 orders because remember, on a trap trade, we're going in the opposite direction. Now I'm going to speed this up. As soon as I can get my stop into safety, I would want to do that because this was a very strong report that pushed price to the downside. We might not get cooperation for a winning trap trade. We need that reversal to take effect. We are 8 minutes into the trade because I've sped it up. Eventually, it does reverse, but it did not give you an incredible opportunity to make money on that trade. You had to wait 12 minutes, 13 minutes. It took 14 minutes for that reversal to take place. It was actually a much better breakout on Germany today. So those are ways that we use to test our setups. If month after month, what we're looking for is a similar reaction. Every now and then, you might have breakout works, the breakout works, the breakout fails. Breakout works, breakout works, breakout works, breakout fails. That's normal. You don't always automatically trade your setup just because you have one loser. But that's the methodology we use. We measure the spike candle. We notate the spike candle on our spike sheet, and we do that every month, and we develop a collection of data. Sometimes the data goes back years, and we can look at spike sheets, and we can see, for instance, on the FOMC, the spike sheet, the FOMC data shows that it was safe to trade the trap trade month after month after month. So that's the setup we recommend when we get to the trade room. That is how we test and design our own trades. So think about it. If you are going to design your own trade, you're going to do the exact same thing we did here. You're going to try different setups. You might try a breakout trade. So what's a breakout? A breakout trade is the opposite of what we just saw. On a trap trade, when price went down, we went long. But look at this German trade, how it would have worked if it was a breakout. So we click on strategy, click on news trader. Default trade type is a breakout. It's a 3:15 event. So we're going to put our orders on the chart 1 or 2 seconds before 3:15. We have a bracket. We test to figure out what our best size bracket is. And we've done a lot of testing on the German version. We have an 8 bracket. Let's say we'll have a 10-tick target and a 30-tick target 2 and a stop of 20. Watch how the breakout would have worked on this particular event today. Apply it and OK it. Now we enable the trade in the control panel. We turn it on by clicking the checkbox. And now we're going to go back in time on our playback machine. Right-click the mouse in the blank area, go to 3:29:50, right? 10 seconds before the news. This is how we test. This is how we test so we can design our own trades. OK it. I'm going to press play. I'm going to put it on normal speed. Okay. 3:29:50. Don't forget, double check the time inside the software. 3:29:59 is the actual activation of our orders on the chart. 3:29:59. Our software is going to start recording and playing 3:29:50. Few seconds before our orders actually go on the chart. Now, the news is coming out right about there. Our brackets show up. Price shoots down. We're in the market short. We're instantly profitable because it was a great move. And we can also move our stop way down so that we maximize our profit. Bingo. Out of the trade. Perfect breakout today. That was the best setup for the German flash manufacturing. That's how we design. That's how we test our trades. All right? Any questions? Does everybody understand what we did there? So you now know how we create a spike sheet, why you need the ruler. Seeing is believing. You watch the breakout, and we have an awesome deal for everybody for Memorial Day. If you'd like to join us for all of our upcoming news and earnings trade rooms, every trade room, using our software, you'll get full access to our software, full access to the daily market mover trade reports, full pro trade room membership, full pro membership, everything included, trap trades, breakout trades, trade in your prop account, $20.25 for 30 days, www.gopro25.com. Take a trial of our system for 30 days. This deal, Memorial Day, ends Monday at midnight, and we'd love to have you come into the room, take advantage of this. It's a fantastic offer, just $20.25. You can learn all about appointment-based trading. We're always teaching how to test trades, how to make your own trades, how to do the reversals, the continuations, the trap trades, earnings trades, www.gopro25.com. It's a deal you can't beat. $20.25 a month. You get our news trader software, the Magnet Trades. Learn the appointment-based trading method because we'll guide you in the trade room. Create your own schedule. All for just $20.25. I'll teach you how to do it in all of our trade rooms. So everybody, this is our Memorial Day deal. I hope that you learned something in this webinar. I'm happy to answer any questions. If you need to see something again, feel free to ask me. www.gopro25.com. Learn how to use the ruler. Learn how to use market playback. Those are the two most important tools in conjunction with the calendars so you can find the trades to test, and that is how we test and design our trades. So I want to thank everybody for joining us today at the webinar. If you have any questions, you can send me an email, help@10minutetrades.com, and I'll be happy to answer your questions. If not, I'll see our regular members tomorrow morning in the trade room. Anybody that has any other questions, again, feel free to email help@10minutetrades.com. I want to thank you all for joining with us today. I hope everyone has a great holiday. We've got one more day of trading left tomorrow morning. So I'll see you all in the trade room tomorrow. Thanks, everybody. Have a great rest of your day.